This is your daily dose of ethics with Antonio Speck. So, we said this time we would be covering what is the cost of a lack of ethics in the world. Well, that cost is that we put self-interest or interests ahead of the common interest. We admire or pursue the wrong things, wealth, status, power, very often at the expense of anything and or everything and or everybody else. We do this at the expense or loss to others with all of their knock-on effects. We lose sight of where all this abundance and providence comes from and to whom it belongs. Custodianship is not ownership. For example, like a house sitter or babysitter. The house sitter must take care of the house, its occupants and its contents. The house sitter is not allowed to abuse the occupants, potentially your children or pets or both, or willfully destroy and or consume its contents without limitations. When you leave a house or babysitter, you do not expect to come home to empty fridges, cupboards and bars. This is the difference between custodianship and ownership. We often do this at the expense of those closest to us. In the case of parents, we might shame them, neglect them, or not uphold their righteous values. In the case of family, in the pursuit of selfish personal, business or career success. Remember, nobody at the time of their death says, "I wish I spent more time at work." We harm other people in the dogged pursuit of success. We potentially ruin families through premarital and extramarital affairs. We may be willing to cheat and or steal to get ahead or just to keep up. We lie, mislead, cover up, alter or fabricate the truth for various reasons. Worse yet, we steal, curse, plot and scheme to get what the other person has. So, this lack of ethics, then how does it manifest and affect the world? We negatively impact on the environment, affecting both current and future generations. We create artificial scarcity. We shift resources from where it's needed to where it is most profitable. We export food while our own people starve. We create artificial demand to meet our excessive supply in the interests of growth. A good example here is the American cheese industry. We now introduce the 10 Commandments and a perspective from Exodus 20. So the first commandment is worship no God but me. The second of the 10 commandments is do not make for yourself images or idols. Third commandment is do not take the Lord's name in vain. The fourth commandment is to observe the Sabbath and keep it holy. The fifth, honor your father and mother. The sixth, thou shalt not kill. The seventh, do not commit adultery. The eighth, do not steal. The ninth, you shall not bear false witness. And the 10th, do not cover thy neighbor's goods. In the 10 Commandments as a detailed code of ethics, I rely heavily on the Catechism of the Catholic Church. The Catechism of the Catholic Church is a 600-page summary of the doctrines and pastoral norms of the Catholic Church, or alternatively put, a compendium of all Catholic doctrine regarding both faith and morals. The presentation of this doctrine and morals must be biblical. What is to follow is a summary of the morals or ethics as espoused by the Bible and applied to the current world. We will now be covering the first commandment, worship no God but me. Our moral life has as its source in faith in God. St. Paul shows that ignorance of God is the principle and explanation of all moral deviations. The first commandment enjoins us to love God above everything. God created us. We are nothing without Him. The worship of the one God sets man free from turning in on himself, from the slavery of sin and the idolatry of the world. It is right to offer sacrifice to God as a sign of adoration and gratitude, supplication and communion. God desires mercy and not sacrifice. We must show mercy to our fellow man and creation. By constantly evangelizing men, the church works towards enabling them to infuse the Christian spirit into the mentality and mores, that is the word for morals, laws and structures of the communities in which they live. The social duty of Christians is to respect and awaken in each man the love of the true and the good. Christians are called to be the light of the world. God created us in His image, and therefore to love God, we must love our fellow man. Idolatry consists in making godly that which is not God. Man commits idolatry whenever he honors and reveres a creature, a sports figure, a political leader, or even a spiritual leader in place of God. Whether this be power, pleasure, race, ancestors, the state, money, etc. Jesus says you cannot serve God and mammon. Mammon is defined as the pursuit or the love of wealth. Consulting horoscopes, astrology, palm reading, interpretation of omens, and lots, the phenomena of clairvoyance, and recourse to mediums all conceal a desire for power over time, history, and in the last analysis, other human beings, as well as a wish to conciliate hidden powers. They contradict the honor, respect, and loving fear that we owe to God alone. That was your daily dose of ethics with Antonio Speck.